Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. On today's video, we're going to be talking about Alzheimer's and dementia. These are terms that are often used interchangeably, so we'll talk a little bit about what each of them mean and also touch on some of the warning signs that you can watch out for in yourself or in friends or family. Over the next few videos, we'll also touch on risk factors for developing these conditions, how doctors diagnose Alzheimer's, and ultimately how it can be treated. So what is dementia and how is it different from Alzheimer's? To answer that question, we really need to define a few things. What is dementia? That is a term that I, as a neurologist or other physicians, would use to describe a condition that a person acquires, so they're not born with it, that gets worse over time, that affects their memory more than you would expect for somebody's age, as well as their other thinking, which impairs their ability to carry out day-to-day life. So that seems simple enough, right? But not always. So if you think back to when you were in school, there were clearly people that had a very easy time with memory and could remember anything that they were told. And there were other people that struggled with this and had more difficult time remembering things. And that's normal. Everybody's brain is built differently and functions differently. So we can't just give a simple memory test, remember 25 things, to everybody and say that their memory isn't normal. We have to adjust it for what they did in the past and then kind of also adjust it for what is normal with age, because it is normal to lose some of your memory as you get older. So dementia is an impairment or decline in your memory that develops over time. So you had a great memory in school and at work, and then in your 60s and 70s, you struggled more with remembering basic things that you used to be able to remember. That's a change, as opposed to a person that never had a great memory and was always writing things down and is still that way when they're in their 60s and 70s. They can have the same memory, but one is different than it used to be, and that's one that's more concerning. And then I touched on other cognitive functions that are involved in dementia. And the brain does a lot of things in day-to-day life to get us through the world. We have to remember things. We have to be able to make decisions. We have to be able to navigate a complex world and 3D environment and be able to communicate with others. And all of those cognitive abilities are kind of tasked to different parts of the brain that can be affected in Alzheimer's specifically or in other types of dementia. So now we come to what is the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia. Broadly speaking, dementia is the term that we use to describe this change in a person's memory and thinking, and Alzheimer's is the most common type of that dementia. But there are a lot of other types. Vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, frontal temporal dementia are some of the other more common ones, but Alzheimer's is far and away the most common dementia, and it is what we most commonly will refer to when a patient is said to have a dementia. The specific name of a dementia is not as important to the patient as how it affects them, and many of the dementias will have very similar symptoms of memory impairment or impairment in judgment. And so it is more important for caregivers to understand how the dementia affects their particular loved one rather than what the specific name of that dementia is. For most of these videos on the dementia series, we'll be talking about Alzheimer's specifically, and we'll be using the terms Alzheimer's dementia or dementia in that setting, since it is just so much more common as a cause of dementia. On the next video, we'll talk about some of the warning signs that you might look out for in yourself or in friends or family that might indicate that you should be checked out.